Hey everybody, thank you for joining us for this week's episode of The Muck. I am poker professional Ryan LaPlante. Joining me as always are poker reporter Reuben Bresler.
How you doing?
And poker super fan AJ Sacher. This week's episode will be focusing on the announcement by the Global Poker Index, i.e. now the Global Poker League, and what's his first name? Andre Dreyfus?
Alex Dreyfus.
Oh, Alex Dreyfus. Yes.
Yeah, the president
by
of the
Alex
GPI,
Dreyfus. Yes. I don't know why I was blanking on his name there. This week's episode we'll be talking about the GPL, the announcement that they had, the fact that there will be 12 teams doing a bunch of other things with it. We'll also discuss a little bit about some PokerStars news. Apparently they had the 1-year anniversary of Spin and Goes.
Yeah, there you go.
And yeah, that's pretty much it this episode. Some ACR stuff. Oh, and we'll be debunking that
the
BS,
article.
The bullshit article by Bovada.
What we won't be talking about this week, unfortunately, is DraftKings.
Yeah, sadly enough.
Had we done an episode last week, we probably would have covered it, but everything that needed to be talked about has been done since then. Also, DraftKings isn't poker, so we don't need to really go over it. You guys all know that it's what's up.
Yeah, pretty much.
So
I feel
we'll talk about poker instead.
I get that there's like a lot of crossover between poker and, fantasy sports, especially DFS, but I think like the point of the show is supposed to be about poker and the poker industry and the people in it.
I think that the most interesting thing for me as a fan of poker and as a reporter of poker is DraftKings is the #1 sponsor of the World Series of Poker.
Right.
Which hasn't had its final table yet. So I want to see how that all shakes out.
Yeah, that'll actually be really interesting.
That's interesting, and just the fact that it does not bode well for online poker.
Right, that too.
Right, that's also important.
So, I mean, when there's news to talk about, we'll talk about it.
Right, and try to relate it to the poker industry and how it might affect you guys as a poker player and affect me as a poker player too.
Yeah. But instead, there's actual things going on.
Right,
like
exactly.
The Cube.
Which is, this is bizarre. So when I first heard
of the arena.
Yeah. I hate the tagline, "We sportify poker."
Sportify poker.
I hate it.
I mean,
it's not good.
Absolutely
it's
hate
not
it.
good.
I get what he's trying to say with it, but yeah, I agree. It's kind of, I don't know.
But it's already, it's conceding like, hey, we're not a sport,
but we're trying to
act like one.
Exactly.
No, that's not the right approach.
Here's what it is. The Cube is going to be the Global Poker League, which is going to take all of the bits and pieces from the Global Poker Index and turn it into a poker sporting league. And there's going to be 12 total teams in 2 conferences. There's going to be Western Hemisphere and Eastern Hemisphere, basically.
Right. Americas and Eurasia. Yeah,
Americas is going to have New York, Los Angeles, San Francisco, Las Vegas, Toronto, and Sao Paulo.
Oh, okay. So you're saying Sao Paulo as though it's weird. It's actually not that weird. Okay, so apparently Brazil right now is in their poker boom.
Huge.
Right now, like
it's the second most popular sport after soccer. It just
which is ridiculous, right? So Brazil is in like their poker boom is equivalent to the USA poker boom. Except obviously Brazil doesn't quite have as big of an economy, so like it's going to be great for poker.
It's still pretty enormous,
yeah, it's still really enormous, so that's why Sao Paulo's in there. So it seems a little weird to us, but it makes
sense to have Sao Paulo.
sense.
Just compared to those other
to those other cities, it's like
definitely.
That's on that list. I would have expected Vancouver, for example.
Yeah.
Right.
Or
definitely.
I can't really think of it. I mean,
Atlantic City.
Dallas is close enough. Atlantic City, exactly. 10 years ago, this would have been Atlantic City. But anyway, Eurasia is going to be London, Paris, Prague, Barcelona, Moscow, and Hong Kong. Any surprises? Surprises that aren't on there? I think it's a little weird that Berlin is not on there, given that hosting the main event this year.
Yeah, Berlin not being on there would probably be like the one real surprise.
Small dog.
Just because poker in Germany is pretty big yet. There are a lot of huge name players in it. So the way that they're building this is that there will be 12 teams, as we already discussed, based in those cities. However, the players don't have to be from those cities or from those countries.
Just like any sports league.
Right, exactly.
You just have to be drafted.
Exactly. Which the draft day is going to be February 26th.
September. The fictional month that was in an episode of The Simpsons.
February 26th of 2016.
Nice.
Teams will have 5 players each, 4 of whom must be from the GPI Top 1000, which is cool because I'm in the GPI Top 1000. I'm in 621st. However, I have some slight minor issues with it. The current GPI point system really isn't great. It's not bad. It's just it has one glaringly big flaw that everyone agrees on, and that even Alex Dreyfus has said some things that he realizes that it's not perfect and that it needs some minor adjustments.
What's the thing that's glaring?
So the issue is that the person, to give you an example of it, is that the person who won the Colossus this year, which
Right.
was, $500 bind that had 22,000 runners, and he got paid out $600,000. He got less points for that than a min cash in a 10K Raz event.
Yeah, that's not good.
He won a bracelet, $600,000, and outlasted 22,000 people, and gets less points than someone min cashing a 10K.
Right. So the big problem
Yeah.
with the GPI Top 1000, Top 100, Top 10, whatever you want to call it, is twofold. I think one is that
Right.
it's too far weighted towards big buy-in events.
Right?
Too far. I mean, obviously, big buy-in events should be slightly
Right.
more.
Like, no, a big
But it's
blind
too
event
far.
should be pretty heavily weighted, but it's just
Right.
like taking it
But
to
not
an
like this.
extreme. No, not like this.
It doesn't
Like,
seem
and
like
the other-
it scales properly.
right. It
Right.
doesn't.
And the
scale
other
properly.
problem is that the GPI is definitely not prepared for large-scale events on the scale
Right.
of the Colossus.
Right,
It
exactly.
just is not prepared to handle a 22,000 person
But it's
event
also-
and pump out data from it.
Right, but it's also not really prepared to handle like 1K events and 1600 events, or if it
True.
is, it just underweights them because like you could win like WSOP 1500 and get less for that than someone taking 7th in the 10K Raz.
It's a very weird thing, right? Poker rankings, like you look at chess, right? They use ELO,
Right.
and it's very simple. I mean, ELO is a pretty intuitive system.
Right.
The way that you keep score in poker is dollar bills.
Right.
Like that is inherently true to what poker is the way that you count
Right.
points is with money.
Right.
So to create a system that is looking at tournament placings and these different tournament variables that are outside of that is
It's tough.
it's a unique
that's-
thing, right? That's a unique
Right,
challenge that
definitely.
like you need like I mean ELO was a like Hungarian physics professor that
really?
came up with this complex system.
That's cool.
Yeah.
For chess, like you need somebody like that to like come up with something to weight these properly
Yeah.
and not just kind of
And everybody that smart is playing chess.
So there, right. So there is a reason that it's weighted like that, and it's because the GPI with it wants to have superstars, and
Which is fine.
Which is fine. Like I get that, but what they need to understand, and I think Mr. Dreyfus does at this point, is that normal professionals and players need to feel as though that they have an opportunity to make it into it at least and have movement in it. Like I, as a decent professional poker player who has had some big final tables live and online, I should be able to have a shot at making it to the top 50. Currently though, even if I won a 1K, then a 1500, then like a 600 back to back to back, and then have another ton of deep runs, I would never like break the top 100, just the way that it's weighted.
right.
Like you have to play 10Ks
Final tabling of 50
and do well
is
in
way-
them.
yeah, exactly.
You have to play 10Ks and 25Ks and 50Ks. And while I do play some 10Ks, my only opportunity of getting there is if I win a 10K, and I have got like 3 or 4 opportunities a year, and that's it. So like a good professional such as myself who plays a lot live, like I'm just always going to be stuck in the 250 to 750 range no matter how well I do. And that shows that it overweights to some degree. And like I would even go so far as that it hugely overweights, but just that they need some adjustments. So once they get some adjustments, and some more
and it's
players
always
can-
going to be a thing where you can change the
Right, exactly.
because it's a fluid system, because the GPI is going to own the GPL, they're always going to be able to change the ranking system. And there's always going to be this discussion of, well, I would have been ranked 4 places higher in the old system. But let's get back to the GPL here, because this is the important
But
the new thing here.
All of that discussion,
but
all of that discussion
was about who's
the
going to be
movement.
in it and who can be picked in
That's
it.
true.
Which is important.
Right. But 1,000 is a huge number.
Right.
Like,
It is a big number.
That's going pretty deep into the list. So
Exactly.
like the fact that somebody is 600th and it's hard for them to get up to 200th.
It also means that someone who's like outside of the top 1,000 has difficulty getting into the top 1,000, even if they win a bunch of like smaller buy-in tournaments.
Right.
That's the main issue with it, is that it cuts out some people out of the top 1,000.
Yeah, there's just not enough turnover.
Who kind of deserve to be in it, quote unquote.
Okay, so who's gonna? So we talked about the 12 teams.
Yep. Okay, so the 12 teams are going to have 12 different owners. And the way that the owners will be chosen will be a couple different ways. First, they need the money. And the way that they own teams isn't by buying a franchise. What they're doing is that they're putting up the money to cover the team's expenses for the first 2 years. Okay. And you can't just be a Joe off the street and tell Dreyfus that, hey, you want to buy a team. You have to show that you have something to bring to the GPL and to the team. So be part of a major corporation, have like some type of charisma about yourself and some clout about yourself that can help the team grow, help the team get exposure, and help grow the industry. Because part of the issue that Dreyfus has stated this on his 2-hour Twitch Q&A and on his recent 2+2 PokerCast interview as well, that the GPL will fail if it doesn't have owners that have clout and leadership, which I agree with that. Like, you need teams that have the type of people behind them that can help those teams succeed, even if they aren't putting up quote-unquote results. And that's how the industry is going to grow. So there will be 12 teams, 5-player rosters, 4 players from each team will be picked from the top 1,000. The owners will pick... Right. The owners will pick the players in a draft-style manner. The draft's going to be done completely lottery. Each pick will be done lottery-style, too. So you could have a team get really unlucky in each round and just pick last each round. So there will be the first round picks, everyone will get their order. Second round, everyone will get a new order. It won't be
That's a weird way to do it, instead of just wheeling or something.
Yeah. It is kind of weird to do, but that's what they're deciding to go with. And then 1 player per team can be outside of the GPI 1,000, which that's good. So that 1 player is probably going to be like athletes.
I nominate Reuben Bresler.
Yes, exactly.
Obviously, I accept, because that's just like free money. But yeah, you can pick like random cash game regs from really big cash games from around the world. If you know a random master that's been playing the stock market for the last 20 years, then you can pick them as well. That's the kind of thing that you can do with this. I do like that you have to choose people from within the industry who are actually making at least an effort.
Right, exactly.
I do wish it was you had to pick 4 and 1 instead of at least 4, and then you can do 1.
Maybe 1.
Like I like the idea of like you have to have like hunt out a ringer. Yeah, I like that.
Right.
That's pretty funny. And owners can't play, by the way.
Owners
can't be a player coach
at all. Yeah, you can't play at all. You can't play for your own team. You can't play for another team.
1930s MLB.
Yep. Right.
So
this whole structure reeks so much of esports.
Yep. In fact,
it's just stone identical to the way that like StarCraft works in Korea and League works everywhere.
Because Alex Dreyfus, the guy that came out with this announcement himself, wrote an article on October 10th with the title, Hearthstone and video games are the biggest threat to online poker. That is a thing he wrote, and I want to just read the last sentence because it's staggering to hear. This is the president of the GPI saying
You should all read this article, by the way.
Yeah, it's insane. I'd never seen anybody say anything like this. This big in the industry, I should say. Quote, "We as an industry need to accept that we need to build new experiences and take some risks. We will try, we will fail, we will fix, but the status quo can't be accepted anymore if we want strong industry growth in the next 5 years and not become the has-been game of the 2000s.
We will fight them on the beaches.
Said the president of the Global Poker Index. That's not just like some random dude saying that poker needs to change. That's the guy that runs this. And so this is this is a big try, and they might fail, but it's a big attempt. And
Right.
This is the kind of change he's talking about.
I think like Dreyfus has the vision and the drive to make this a success. Like, I mean, obviously, like there's like Epic Poker League, and then like the Palms had some type of league thing as well, and both of those were kind of failures. And there's the Professional Poker Tour, which, you know, the only people who know about that are guys like me and Reuben and any super fan of poker. And obviously, so that was a failure too. And the reason why those failed were because of a lot of reasons. They like didn't try to break the mold. They didn't try to do anything that
They tried to play it too
interesting,
close to the
right?
chest.
They tried to
Yeah.
play it too normal, and
Yeah.
Dreyfus realizes that there is this like hole in the market, and that he can create something that isn't just good for poker and for himself, but isn't going to take anything away either.
Exactly.
They aren't taking money out of the industry. They're trying to grow the industry and put money into the industry.
So the way that this league will run, I understand that the drafting and all that is super interesting, but as a reporter, the way that it's actually going to come about and be seen by a spectator is super interesting.
Right,
Well,
definitely.
the presentation is
very
a
interesting.
huge factor
Yeah,
of this
and so
move.
the poker league will be the reason why it was called the Cube from the beginning is it's going to be played live in stadiums or at least esports style.
Part of
stadiums.
it will be.
Part of it will
So
be.
they have three different methods of people being able to watch. There's the online software method, which actually they're building their own software for it, so they have a lot more control over like commentation. They can pause hands. They can do like those types of things. Then they're doing in-studio stuff. So like they did like GPI like scoop coverage. They're doing studio stuff like that, and then they're
Like
doing the
Poker After Dark
stadiums.
type of
Yeah,
setup.
Now the
Stadium is
stadiums
the
are
coolest part,
right,
I think.
definitely.
Stadium's
Definitely.
awesome.
They're making so what they're doing for the stadium is they're making what's called the Cube, which is going to be a poker table inside of a large glass cube, basically, like
Yeah.
what they kept Magneto in, and it's going to have two-way glass.
I was going to say
Where
the
there are-
doctor, but okay.
Yeah.
Magneto
Fine.
works.
There's two-way glass with the hole cards projected on the outside of the two-way glass,
Yep.
so that you can see through the hole cards and also see the players while they're playing those hole cards in real time.
Yep.
And you know, the table is just kind of there just so that people know it's there. But the big thing
Right.
is that they're going to have this big projection on this basically two-way mirror.
And the way they're doing
which is
that
super
is, so the players won't be able to see outside of the glass structure unless they like put on lights so they can see. That's a upside about two-way mirror. And then there won't be physical cards. So instead of doing RFID, they're just instead doing digital cards. And they're doing physical chips. The reason why they're doing digital cards is because two different reasons. A, it's a lot faster to deal. It's a ton
it's
faster to
much
deal.
faster to deal.
And B, it's also easier to like do the digital like projections and those kinds of things with digital cards and
sense.
to build software around it. So like, however, they're still doing physical chips because everyone agrees that like seeing the physical chips and playing with them and doing those
It's a
kinds of
huge
things,
part of the
it's
game.
a huge
Yeah.
part of the game, right? And something else they're doing that's kind of interesting is no chairs, standing tables only. The reason why they're doing this is twofold. Okay.
They're very
so-
health conscious.
Yes, that's the main reason.
Is it really?
No, not at all. Reuben is so confused right now.
Hold on, I'm going to try to figure out why they're doing standing only.
It's three different reasons. Try to think of them.
Well, I've already named one.
Well, it's not that.
Height
Three different
intimidation
actual
factor is number 2.
True. So that they get more vigorous reactions when exciting
Yep,
things happen.
exactly. So that's one of the main ones. Second,
Clothing
They-
sponsorships.
yep, exactly. Those are pretty much the two main things. Is that
What was it?
Clothing sponsorships.
clothing
You can see the
sponsorship.
chair, you can't see the back of the shirt.
so
Sure,
it gives the
sure.
players more mobility to like move around, to like give reactions, to talk easier. Like it makes them more vocal and
Play
like
to the crowd
right,
and be
play
like
to the
flex
crowd,
for
right,
when you like,
exactly.
yeah, hit the three
And-
outer.
Yeah,
we did
and
it.
then allows them to like cheer and get exuberant and have fun with it. Because like when you're playing as
Because
part
we're
of the
sportifying
GPL,
poker.
right? Exactly. When you're playing as part of the GPL, because you aren't putting up your own money to play, instead of you being the customer, you're now part of the you're almost an employee, and your job is to have fun and get the crowd into it. So
Yeah,
like
you're kind of part Harlem Globetrotter.
That makes sense.
Exactly.
Now that it registers that they're not playing with their own money.
Right.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay.
The real reason is they built the tables too high.
Right.
Yeah.
They built it wrong.
They misclicked
They did
on
centimeters
the...
instead of inches. It's a long story.
So the cube stuff is actually really interesting. So Dreyfus got this from two different things. So got it from, so it's built by a squash company that, they make the
Sport.
Yeah,
I assume.
yeah, the squash, the sport. So they make them so people, so crowds can watch like the squash world championships, like that kind of stuff.
Yeah. 'Cause squash is also played in a cube.
Right,
That makes
it's
sense.
played in a cube. Okay, so that company made it, and then Dreyfus, of course, also got it from the esport industry. Is that you need something that's big and visual and loud and fun that people can really get into, and Dreyfus has gone to a ton of different esport games and seen exactly what they do and how they work and why they work, and that's where a lot of these ideas that he's that he has gotten. And as you can see, it's all very different from what the poker industry is used to, and I think because of that, it might actually work while the Professional Poker Tour and the EP or the Epic Poker League and blah 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 all fail.
Yeah. It's pretty clear. It's pretty clear to see that he's drawing a lot of inspiration from esports, and that's really cool to see.
I was going to say that's like sort of your wheelhouse. Do you think that that's going to work? Do you think that it's a model that's workable?
It has a way higher likelihood than the other attempts.
Yeah, definitely.
It's a unique thing. It's really first of its kind. We're gonna have to see what the audience reaction is, because
that is another super
Definitely.
interesting thing about this, is that there's nothing competing with this on almost any level except that it's poker.
And so they've done a lot of research about it. They hired some like top tier polling company, blah blah blah, and they're getting really good numbers for as far as like people willing to buy tickets and see this in person after being told about what everything is. Good numbers as far as like people wanting to buy merchandise, good numbers for people watching it online, good numbers across the board for like its target audience, which obviously is 16 to 30-year-old males.
Yeah.
And obviously for like their stadium stuff, they're going to put it into really big cities and try to do markets that have a lot of poker players in them already. Like honestly, like if they did this and I didn't get into a team somehow, I have no idea as to how I wouldn't.
God forbid.
Clearly I'm a great pick. But, if I somehow didn't get into a team and they like had a game down in LA, sure, I might go to it and, buy a ticket. It'd be kind of a cool thing to do.
Yeah, man. When Vegas has an away game at LA, I'm definitely going to wear my Las Vegas Rattlers jersey to go play against the Los Angeles, businessmen or whatever their mascot's going to be. I'm definitely like, I think that's an interesting aspect of this that nothing has really been ever come close to in poker.
Right.
Is the team aspect.
Right.
Yeah, and I'm wondering if they're going to really advertise it and publicize it as sort of an MLG type of experience.
Right. That's what they're trying to do is build that MLG type of experience. Which, speaking of which, not that this is that relevant, but I saw that MLG might be getting bought up by Yahoo, which is kind of weird and interesting. So it looks like there's a lot of like movement in esports. And
is there a bid number? Do we know?
Maybe like 60 million or something like that.
I don't think any numbers have been.
Range. Yeah, the article that I read gave a number. It's like 30 or 60 million, and I don't remember exactly what that number was exactly in regards to. But like the fact that there is movement in the esports industry, and Dreyfus is aware of that, he's going after that type of market. And I think the reason why he is because he's not a poker player. Like, he'll admit to the fact that he's not. He's an entrepreneur who just happens to go after the poker industry because it's something that he enjoys and likes. But like, he never made his money playing poker. He's made his money from other business ventures outside of poker, and that's why we're getting like this creativity and this kind of viewpoint on things. So, hopefully it succeeds. I really want it to. I think he's doing a lot of great stuff, and I guess we'll see what happens.
And if it happens, then we get to have an on-show mock draft.
Oh, that'd be great.
I
we should definitely do that.
Like, drafting the cube means something very different to me and Reuben than it does
right.
to
That's
our
Magic
audience.
the Gathering. That's what that is. That's wizard poker, not actual.
Yeah.
Yeah, 100%.
Let's see here. Okay, the next thing. So there's this little article floating around that I'm sure some people kind of sort of saw. It's posted on 2plus2, it's posted on Reddit, and it was about Bovada being quote-unquote, their RNG not being very good, being imperfect, being quote-unquote rigged. However, if you actually look into the article and look at how the people did their research and a bunch of other things, you start seeing some slight issues with it. Like, for instance, they say all these like people with like with like math degrees and blah 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 did the research behind it, but they never give names at all. They use a lot of terminology throughout the entire article that isn't really very professional or scientific. They also make some very glaring false claims. Like, for instance, they say that they bought 200 million hands from Poker Tracker to do the research. That never happened. Poker Tracker would never, ever sell hands to anyone, ever.
Yeah.
And if they did, we have a much bigger thing on our hands.
Right. That would be a ridiculous issue. Even if they're doing it, quote-unquote, for science, you still can't just sell hands to people.
So what we're talking about is an article on Medium.com by an author named @DataMinePoker.
Right.
And it says that basically calls out Bovada for being atrocious.
Yeah, pretty much. However, that article also has some America's Card Room affiliate links and a bunch of other stuff. And like between like the way that they framed everything, what they said, the fact that there's a fake email at the bottom if you want to contact them, that they lied about the stuff from Poker Tracker, which means they lied about the entire data.
Email address?
Yep, that they lied about all the data that they had. They lied about everything. And then, wait, here's the cherry on top. In the article, they admitted to colluding on Bovada and making $12,000 off of it, which honestly I think is also a lie, just to like try to scare people. So like the entire article just has so many weird things in it. And in fact, Medium.com actually has removed the article from like Google searches, from their homepage and those types of things as well. So the only way you can see the article now is with a link. So if you want some good laughs,
we've included a link in our show notes.
So you can laugh at how atrociously obvious it is that it's my
initial reaction to reading it, besides like, once I got over the initial shock factor of what they're proposing, is how antagonistic, like how unbiased, like how blatantly biased it was, and that with that tint, everything reads very differently.
Yeah, definitely.
And I don't know, it was definitely something that I saw people who are like very much casual poker players, tangentially related to poker, posting on Facebook and stuff.
Right.
Yeah.
Without,
really understand it.
It's one of those things, it's a really sticky message.
Right.
And it's something that I know a lot of people that are tangentially related to poker will have read once and then shared on Facebook maybe, and then not follow up on it, or
it's super dangerous like that.
Right.
Like, there's a lot of articles in many games where people read the headline and say, "Oh, Bovada's rigged." Okay.
Yeah,
now
I believe
that's a fact now.
Right. Definitely.
It's like, so they have all these like things that are proof of everything that they're saying, and a lot of the things that they're saying is proof. You're saying is either not provable or worse, blatantly not true.
Yes. They either can't be proven to being true, or they absolutely straight out lied about it.
Right. So the things that to me are the fishiest are number one, there's no name attached to it.
Right.
And whenever anything doesn't have a name attached to it, be it an article, be it an op-ed piece, be it anything really, it always I am much more interested in where it came from than anything in the piece. And so that's the first thing that stuck out to me. And the fact that you're telling me that, that there's the fake email, which I didn't even realize it was a fake email, that's kind of funny. There's an America's Card Room affiliate link at the bottom is what you said. And America's Card Room is one of the big competitors of Bovada. Bovada has the biggest market share in the United States of American internet poker, right?
Yep. By far.
And so, by a wide margin. And so if they lied about buying hands from Poker Tracker, which I guess isn't really provable unless Poker Tracker makes a statement
They
or
did.
something.
They made an official
Did they?
statement. Yep.
Okay. And then they probably also lied about some of the data.
Yep.
I don't know how provable that is.
Probably.
But if you
did.
can't
Not
replicate the
guaranteed.
data,
Right.
I'm sure that Bovada would be like, no, and here's a third-party data miner scientist person to show you. This is like kind of a big deal. I don't know what Medium.com is.
It's some major quote-unquote site that.
It's
does
not a
bunch
great
of
site, but it's
articles.
not a terrible site. I'd say it's
Like, it's
I
pretty
hate
well
you
known.
so much.
It's like
is
it's
it
pretty
mostly
mainstream.
for people who read minds? Or if we're making jokes, we got jokes now.
We always
yeah,
got jokes. Come on, guys. It's a muck.
Of course. This is the title of the article is Online Poker in Danger.
Right.
Bovada Online Poker in Danger.
Just
It's like
the
very
biggest
clickbait.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I don't know if this is going to lead to some sort of anything. Like, I haven't heard of any. I mean, I know that the players have said this is stupid and here's why, but I haven't heard of any backlash against the site yet.
I don't think there's any backlash. It's just
Other
one of
than
those
on the
things,
month,
Yeah.
which is what we're doing.
I
right
don't
now.
think that they expected anything to come of this on either
Right.
side. Like, whoever created this article knew that this would happen, and all they were trying to do was get that sticky, clickbaity message out into the world.
If all they
and
wanted was clicks, they got what they wanted.
Yeah, they got a lot of clicks. They got a lot of people going, oh, maybe Bovada is rigged. Let's play on ACR. And I think that was kind of the point of the article.
Exactly. It cost them very little to start muckraking for whatever.
I like the usage of the term muckrake.
Me too.
For those of you who
Great-
didn't take high
great
school
use.
social studies, that's really good. Speaking of America's Card Room, by the way, which I think might be behind this in some capacity.
Like, who knows?
I mean, it's possible. Who knows? It doesn't actually matter who's behind
right.
it. But America's Card Room certainly benefits.
Yes, definitely. Or an affiliate with them benefits.
This is part of their interesting new campaign to get more people among their weird giveaways and their guaranteed events, which there's news in the guarantees.
Yeah.
Ryan, you
AJ?
want to break that down?
I suppose I can, since you've been doing the good news about ACR. I suppose I can give the bad news about
there you
ACR.
go.
Now that
AJ, your pet project is dead.
The hot potato is dropped into my pants and is now getting set on fire. So, they're 5 million guarantees. They're still doing 5 million guarantees in that series. However, they realized that after the first 3, since they averaged losing about $200,000 on each, that they couldn't really keep that up. Which, to be honest, I don't really blame them. They were probably expecting maybe to lose $200,000 on the first one and then to actually make money on the others, because
especially with the complications that they had in the first 2, they were hoping that it would bounce back.
Right. And it didn't.
And then the third one, it didn't happen.
Right. And because it didn't happen to the third one, they're like, well, we can either eat another 400K in losses, or we can do something that, I mean, it's not that bad, but anytime you say you're guaranteeing and doing oh, this tournament has $1 million guarantee, this is the date, you should generally stick to your word on that, or people start taking your word with a grain of salt. So what they ended up doing is, instead of there being 2 more $1 million guarantees, one which was supposed to be this last Sunday and one which was supposed to be next Sunday, instead they're doing 4 $500,000 guarantees, and then they're dropping the buy-in from $530 to $270. And actually, it's being successful for them. The first
not surprising.
First 500K was on Sunday. I played it. I fired 3 bullets into it, and I cashed it and had another semi-deep run and made a little bit of money, not very much on it. Woohoo!
Well, when you fire 3 bullets.
Yeah, it's hard to make money when you fire 3 bullets. But hey, it was great value, so I couldn't complain. And actually, it did an overlay. I was kind of impressed.
Well, that's huge. I mean, that's you can see them in the boardroom sweating.
Right.
What do we do about can we really overlay 200K 2 more times?
Right.
How do we cut into this overlay some amount, and then they make this big change and
it actually works in their favor.
don't overlay. Yeah,
Right.
they got to be pretty happy about that.
Yeah. I thought that they would get some backlash about it, and that still might overlay it. And honestly, as a player, I was just rooting for them to overlay it. And honestly,
course.
like,
Of course.
I mean,
We've
for
had
the
this
long run of the
stuff,
industry, it's better that they don't. But
Yeah.
the fact that they changed the guarantees on something after announcing when it was going to be, what it was going to be, did all these
Yeah.
promotions for it, and then changed it, as a player, that's pretty salty. So
I pulled
honestly,
up
I
a-
just wanted them to overlay all 4 of them. But it looks like they aren't going to.
Well, I pulled up a link here. Noun, a promise or assurance, especially one in writing, that something is of specified quality, content, benefit, etc., or
Is
that
that
it
the
will perform
definition of a guarantee?
satisfactorily
Yeah.
for a given length of time. That's what the word guarantee means.
Right.
And apparently some people in the poker industry throw that word around
A little
too
lightly.
lightly.
Yeah.
Yeah, guarantee is a word that is losing its meaning within poker.
Which it shouldn't be, and while, this happened in Binions, the fact that it is a rarity, and that, some of the bigger guarantees by, like, the Seminole Hard Rock have always been honored, even when they overlay by incredible amounts,
But
it's
there
still
have
good to
also been
see.
ones that haven't. You know?
Right.
I don't know. I think the next level is that we see guarantees.
We guarantee this guarantee.
We guarantee that this will be guaranteed. Yeah.
Right, and then the language inflation, a couple generations will have guarantees.
Yeah.
The evolution
I like
of guarantees in poker.
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
Hopefully it doesn't get to that point. Get to that point.
Yeah,
So,
I'm happy that they're not overlaying anymore. It's a little disappointing that they had to do this big change in the middle of it, but
Right.
So now that with all of these changes, Brian, there have been $3 million tournaments that were overlaid massively. Then they made this change midstream,
Right.
and you played in one,
Yes.
and it wasn't overlaid for the
Yes.
500K guarantees. Are you more or less likely to keep playing them? Or does it matter?
No, I'll still play the 500Ks, and I'll still play, like, their majors and stuff, but when it comes
not
to,
happy
like,
about
right, I'm playing it
Sure.
in spite of what they did, not,
Yeah.
because they have it. I'm doing it because I'm going to make money off of it, and that's what I care about is my bottom line playing it. But, like, if
Yeah.
I was a casual player, I would go, what are they doing? They guaranteed this, bah, and then just not.
Yeah.
But I'm
But,
sure for a casual player, I'm sure it's also like, oh, cool, this big guarantee tournament is now half the buy-in.
right, and that's
Like,
why
I'm sure
they're
that those
making
people
money
exist
on it.
as well. And
Right.
people like you that are like, well, I was going to play them anyway, and I'm going to play them anyway,
Right.
are going to play them anyway.
And that's why it's not going to cost them any money, and why they're still going to do fine because of it. But,
Yeah.
like, in the future, if my option, one day is, oh, I can play a $50 buy-in on Bovada, or I can add a $50 buy-in on WPN, I'm going to play Bovada.
Right.
For a couple different reasons, but, like, that'll start to factor into it. Like, how secure is it? How good is their word on things? Those kinds of
just
things.
to add
It's
a
just
little more
that little
weight
bit
to
of
one
doubt,
side of the
right?
scale.
Exactly. It's not going to be a huge change, but, like, that little shift. I mean, I do commend them for reaching for the stars and trying to do something cool, but then they kind of, they've dropped the ball a little bit, sadly enough. And speaking of reaching for the stars,
Would you say that they're on full tilt?
maybe,
Can't with any of you.
No?
I'm having a party with it for sure.
Oh my dear Lord.
You can have your cake and eat it too.
I'm going to flip this table. Yes, speaking of stars, we get it.
For
all
Reuben's
right.
sake, let's move on to the last piece.
But
that we
I
have
really
for-
want to 888 some cake.
No, stop it. No. I can't let you get away with that one.
All right. So we have reached the point, the 1-year anniversary of Spin and Goes, the now staple of the poker industry from
apparently.
PokerStars. If you're not familiar with what a Spin and Go is, you enter a tournament, and then your prize is randomized among a fixed set of things, and then you play three-handed for this randomized prize.
Yep.
Right. So, so let's say you play a $10 spin and go. That means 3 players buy in for $10, and usually the prize is going to be $20. So the winner will double their money. But you spin, and then a little thing goes around like this, and then another
lights flash,
pops up.
sound effects goes off.
Right, and usually it's $20, but sometimes it's $1 million.
Right.
Yay!
And then
That's what a
it's
spin and
just
go is.
Right.
And then it's just a three-handed hyper, basically.
Yep.
Right.
300 hyper turbos, and when they do the really big spin, so anytime they do like, let's see, I think it's maybe 25 plus, then so you can't make deals in them. However, what they do is second and third place will get 10% of what first place got. So they're doing 3 different buy-ins that are going to have $1 million spins now. You can get a 50-cent buy-in and spin $1 million. You can do a $5 buy-in and spin $1 million, and you can do a $100 buy-in and spin $1 million. And so when you get the $1 million spin, which they're 3 in 100 million to occur, 3 in 10 million to occur, and 3 in 1 million to occur for each. When you get one, it'll be first place is $1 million, but if you take second or third, you get 100K. So like,
that's awesome.
You're hurting a bit, but you got 100K to wipe away those tears. So
exactly right.
It's cool. Not too bad for you. So Spin and Ghosts have been wildly popular on Stars. They've paid out over $3 billion over the last year in them, which means they've probably raked somewhere between 150 and 200 million off of them. And $3 billion, that's pretty similar to their total MTT volume over the last year too, which means they created a game that's as popular as tournaments, and that are raked to a similar degree.
That's what's insane.
Yeah, that's ridiculous.
To create a format of poker to rival traditional MTTs is a huge accomplishment.
Right.
And, I mean, hats off to their marketing team. Like that is just a great
Definitely.
thing.
So
it hurts me a bit, but it's still good overall. Yeah.
But because we're in the 1 year anniversary, there's their promotions happening where you can get free tickets to enter these.
Yep, you get some free tickets for like playing games. They have these things called challenges. It's generally in the top left corner of one of your tables. You click on it, you do a challenge. The challenge can be like anything. It'd be like play 30 poker hands. Win a
deal
tournament.
100 damage to enemy minions.
Exactly. It's like quests in Hearthstone. PokerStars is finally doing what I suggested a long time ago, which is achievements and
achievements.
quests.
Yep, achievements is something that's been missing for a long time.
Exactly, and they're slowly starting to do it. It's just they're calling them challenges. So they're finally doing something like that, and they're actually doing it really well. They're giving out tickets at things. Also, the other part of this promotion is that they normally don't have $1 million spins. The only times they do $1 million spins is when they're doing a promotion for it. And their main promotion generally is the $5 $1 million spin. But now they're doing the $100 $1 million spin, which generally the top spin in that is, it's usually 3,000x. So the top spin in the $100 is usually 300K. The top spin in the $5 is usually 15K. And I think they just added the 50-cent buy-in ones. And so those are brand new. And in a 50-cent buy-in, you can win $1 million. So that's their promotion, is they're giving away tickets and they're doing those.
Usually the big number at the top of the 50-cent buy-in ones would be $100. That's the super rare.
It would be $1,500.
Oh, it's $1,500?
3,000. Yeah, 3,000x.
Sure.
Which is, so that's huge.
$1.
Right. Usually it's $1.
And that's how they make money. So in their spin page, they do advertise what the rake is, which is great that it's it's out there, it's known.
Yeah, I liked that a lot. I have so much respect for that, to be like,
definitely.
We're a company and we need to make money, but we're not crushing you either. And that sort of what's the word? Transparency.
Right. They're very
I have
transparent
so much respect for that.
So they are going above the board. They're very transparent with it. And yeah, it's a cool promotion. It's cool that they exist. Again, innovation in the game is great. Even if it occasionally hurts me as a professional player, the fact that these games are very accessible to recreational players and that it gets money into the economy and gets that money turning and spinning, that's just great.
Yeah.
Another great pun, by the way. Reuben didn't make a face for it, though. Okay, that concludes this week's episode of The Muck. Thank you very much, Mr. Reuben Bresler, poker reporter, and superfan AJ Sacher, for joining me. And thank you guys for all watching and helping support the show. We do all greatly appreciate it. I hope you had fun watching this show, and we hope to see you guys all next week. Thanks, and bye.